It was quite a special part of my life, being a 15-year-old lad. And here we are 50 blooming plus years later. It obviously had a significant impact on your life, because I do remember, maybe the first time you play golf, and it was like a first. Any time you do a first in something, you create memory.
Yeah.
And so I got a lot of memories, and obviously when you sit now and think of the whole journey of the train up and down, I'm sure we're going to get to that. But yeah, I still have good memories of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first edition of the Outward Bound alumni podcast, Outward Bound and Me. You are very welcome. My name is Dylan Carroll and I'll be your host. So over the years, I've had the absolute privilege to talk to our alumni about their stories, about their connection with Outward Bound and what they've gone on to do. So I thought I would share these stories with you via the podcast, share the stories of challenge, adventure, success, and fun. And we will hear from Outward Bound alumni from all different walks of life. And hopefully you'll think about your connection to the charity and you'll enjoy the stories that we share with you. So for the first ever edition, I thought, who could I invite? So with Kurt Harm ringing in my ear, I reached for the top and I've invited a gentleman who is quite simply one of the most outstanding representatives of his sport. So he's a 6-time major champion. He is a 3-time Open Championship winner and a 3-time Masters winner in 89, 90, in 96. And he's gone on to have a wonderful career in broadcasting as well. This man spent 98 weeks as the number one in his chosen sport, golf. And I'm hopeful that Outward Bound played a small part in that success. So we're going to dive into his connection with Outward Bound in just one second and hopefully hear more about his charity work, his career after broadcasting, and find out if that was connected in any way to the Outward Bound Trust. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first guest, Sir Nick Faldo. Nick, you're very welcome.
Hello there, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming on the pod today. Now, I should ask just before we get into things, you're actually convalescing at the moment. Is that right? How are you doing? How's things?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking. I'm doing good. I had surgery, serious surgery. I had open heart for sending aorta at Cleveland Clinic 9 weeks ago yesterday. Yesterday I had to have one of those cardio versions where they gave me a shock. So I'm fully charged up.
Good.
I can still smell the hairs singeing off my chest. So, no, I'm doing good. I think, bottom line, it's they give you quite a walloping. And so I've got to just take things slow. I go for my cardio rehab. I've got a session after this and it's so gentle. I'm like, and then they go, well, you're bored, and so I don't want to get that. No, I agree now. I had my hip done 2 years ago. Same thing. If the slower you go, the more disciplined, and just take it easy. So I'm trying to rein myself back into okay, take it easy. Because I go and walk the dogs and I get a bit carried away because it's, so I've just got to be, yes, all going very well and feeling good. And it was all good timing. Fortunately, I got time to, I got another good month, 4 odd weeks before I get to Augusta. That was the key thing to get ready. So I can still do my TV. I'll be on Sky for you back home in England.
Great.
So I start to get back into the swing of things. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, good on you. Well, listen, speedy recovery to full health. And I know from the little I know of you, Nick, I reckon sitting still isn't your thing. So hopefully you'll be back up and back to full fitness soon. Outward Bound and Me. So before we get into the Outward Bound bit of your life, I just wanted to ask you, because I emailed you and I said, would you like to come on the podcast? I just want to know, when you heard it was Outward Bound, what were your first thoughts when you heard about Outward Bound getting in contact?
You're right. It was quite a special part of my life, being a 15-year-old lad. And here we are 50 blooming plus years later. And, and I do remember, it obviously had a significant impact on your life, because I do remember a lot of things about it. You asked me about can't think of another subject as a good example from 50 odd years ago. Maybe the first time you play golf, and it was like a first. Any time you do a first in something, you create memory.
Yeah.
And so I got a lot of memories, and obviously when you sit now and think of the whole journey of the train up and down, I'm sure we're going to get to that. But yeah, I still have good memories of it. And a couple of years ago, we were driving through the area, through the Lake District. For Lindsay, my Lindsay's got some Scottish heritage, so we were trying to find a castle. I said, well, let's do a detour through. And I came around the corner, I went, hang on a minute, I recognise this. And there it was. So I said, we've got to go, and pulled in, and I just gate crashed and walked in and said, do you remember me? And I look at you. So it's, it's, as you can tell, it's still got great memories in my life. Amazing.
Good. Well, we're going to definitely get into it. But before we do, I was just wondering actually, because you went on a junior course. So it was U167J, which symbolises a junior course, which means you were perhaps younger than our traditional attendee at that time, especially going away for, I think was it 26 days that you came to us for?
26 days. I saw that. I thought, wow, yes, I did remember it being 4 weeks, basically. Yeah.
So, and you were only 14 years and 9 months, because I have your 14. Report here.
I thought I was 15 coming up to 16. No, it was only 4. Yeah, it was April. Obviously, we went through the whole April, wasn't that? March, April, yeah. And I was just thinking, so obviously that's really young. Like, that is very young, actually, for that amount of time away. Yeah. And I was just wondering, because I know with your golf, so what I've learned is that you left school at 16. Yeah.
And I was just wondering, because you were playing golf at that time, so I was just wondering for our viewers, if you could set the scene a little bit, like what was life like before coming to Outward Bound?
I was like any school lad. I was a good school lad. I loved my sport at school. Yeah. I went to Sir Frederick Osborne in Welwyn Garden City. Yeah. Fully comprehensive. And I love my sport, so that was my really key bit. And I was good at everything, probably apart from gymnastics, because I was too big to throw myself around. And, so I attended well and did the best I could. And, that's amazing. So so I only started golf at 14. Yeah. I watched the Masters. My story is I watched the Masters in 1971, so I'm 13 3/4, and thought, I'd like to try golf, and hit some balls in the evenings and swung and la-di-da-di-da. And then I played my first round of golf on my 14th birthday. Amazing. So that's July. So it's amazing to think only 9 months later. So I got selected. Obviously, I guess, Hertfordshire put my name forward. And there's only 2 guys got selected out of the whole of Hertfordshire. And, then literally I went to meet them. I can't remember his name, sorry. And then the next minute you're on a train. We're meeting probably at King's Cross or something. And off you go, you're on the train. So all of that was new. I mean, I'm an only child. Mm-hmm. I was born in the council house in Welwyn Garden City. 2 up, 2 down. And at the time I left, then we moved to a 3 up and 3 down, the other side of town. It's a sport was my main thing, really was. My line now is I was a sportsman looking for a sport. Yeah. I tried everything else. I was good at everything. Soccer, I was in goal, so I wasn't good. I had a hole in my arms, sort of thing. Cricket was all right. Cricket was too obvious because I started playing golf, and I was, and they used to put a fish, and then just, our coach would say, just put a fielder over there, and because an idiot, I go wallop straight over there and get caught. So, it was too obvious. I tried tennis, which was quite funny. Mm-hmm. Because at that particular time, Rod Laver was the best tennis player, and Rod Laver was only 5'9", and I'm 6'3", and they said, you're too tall for tennis. How about that back then? So I was like, that was that. So I quickly say hilarious story. I then played golf, of course, with Rod Laver 40 years later. 5-6 years ago. And I said, you're the reason why I became a golfer. And he said, tell me. So I told that story. They said I was too tall. I said, "Isn't that amazing?" So yeah. So then I got into golf and absolutely loved it. As I said, being an only child, you, I could completely entertain myself all day long,
Yeah.
hitting golf balls any time. So yeah, and then Outbound came on, which was quite early. I was a cyclist as well at the time.
Okay.
I was doing the Olympic, Welwyn Garden. The Welwyn Wheelers we had a bank track, and then I think we had some kind of Olympic program. And the funny thing was, when I went on the course for 4 weeks, when I came back, the guys were then gone. I couldn't keep up. And literally, so I kind of quit cycling.
Yeah.
So it changed my life in that way.
Were you academic? Sorry, Nick, if I interrupted you. Were you academic as well? Did you get on at school, or were you just after school sports?
As I say now, some people were widely read. I was thinly read. I did my stuff, but I didn't. I was more better with my hands and all sort of crafts and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I say I'm partially dyslexic as well. So, at school, when you're not good at reading and stuff, you're down the other end, whatever. I'm in whatever we used to call it, 4B was it? And 4S were the clever ones at the other end of the hall. So, no. And then once golf came along, my eyes were out the window dreaming of what could be, I guess. So,
so do you think, so you were playing golf on your 14th birthday. So by 14 years and 9 months though, you were in Ullswater at the Outward Bound course.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd already decided at that age, Nick, that you were gonna be a professional? What were your aspirations at the time?
Probably not, but it happened when I was 15.
Yeah.
I guess it must have been summer holiday, but it was just pretty good for a boy at 15 to go, I want to be a pro golfer. So I made that decision. And, so as I said, then I did start my daydreaming of, an algebraic equation that's not going to help me as a golfer.
Uh-huh.
So I just wanted to get outside and hit golf balls, which I did in the evenings and all that sort of thing. And then, as you said, I left school at 16 and literally went to the practice ground.
Yeah.
That was the only way to do it back in that era. We didn't have scholarships. We didn't have, I'm not going to go to Loughborough or whatever. There was no golf scholarship. So you had to just get on with it and do it yourself. And but I loved it.
Yeah.
I'd cycle down there every morning, literally rain or shine. The only time it would stop if the ground was frozen, it was sleeting. Then I had so that was quite fun. I had a mate had his own one man carpet fitting business.
Uh-huh.
So, and I used to call him up and say, the weather's terrible. And he'd pick me up and I'd go carpet fitting for a day and get £2.
There you go.
So that £2 a day for carpet fitting. And then, but I absolutely loved it. To go down and hit golf balls, it's a great thing about our game. You're constantly learning. Every golf ball, every shot is different. If you hit a good one, you're trying to do it again.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable. Such a great game.
Yeah.
That, fast forward 50 plus years, I've never been bored with playing golf. Never been bored. I mean, you get frustrated and everything else. Never said, can't be bothered. Which is a pretty amazing that you can be completely engrossed in a sport like that.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible, and I really enjoyed learning that about you. How you dedicated yourself to practice, and how you had an aspiration and you went for it. And I'd love to dig into that a bit more. But just before I do, you mentioned that. So from what I know as well, Nick, and it's only just picking it up over the years, you had very close and supportive parents, which was great. But that going to Outward Bound, did they encourage you to go to that, or was that more through school? Or you mentioned, the local council used to sponsor young people as well.
Well, my mum and dad were always great, always encouraged me. Never, it was never like, we can't do that. Yeah, which must be terrible. I hate that when people say you can't do that. And so, no, I think they were very proud that I got selected. I got selected, so I should think they're very proud of that fact. And and off you went. And, for a young lad, as I said, only child, the only thing, we did everything together. I don't think I'd ever left my parents for a day before that at all. I never went away on a sleepover. Didn't do sleepovers in that time. I don't think I ever went anywhere. No, I would say no. So this is the first time I've actually waved my parents goodbye and get on a train, and whatever that was, 6 hours journey. Never done a 6 hour. We lived in Welwyn Garden City. It's only half an hour into London to King's Cross. That was probably the longest train journey. I'd never been on a plane by then. I didn't fly so we had a very different lifestyle. We had an Austin A40.
Did you?
Remember that? Car's probably that big. We used to drive that to the south. We used to drive that to the south of France. It took 3 days.
Really?
45 miles an hour. No joke. I am not lying. 45 miles an hour all the way south of France. Yeah.
I was just thinking.
And used to camp on the beach, sort of thing. There was a camping site in front. I went and visited it again. I took my daughter Emma. I said, I remember this, and so we went to visit that as well. So, so it was pretty dramatic to be a lad to be grouped up with a bunch of other guys, and off you go you didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you that question actually. What were because that is a big journey, like just physically to undertake from Welwyn Garden City to the Lake District, and if you hadn't been away from your parents before. What were your expectations? Like knowing that you were going to go, did you know it would involve the things that it did?
I don't think it did. I think luckily I probably helped you the fact that you're quite prepared to be thrown in the deep end, did I say, and get on with it. You don't know what's. It's funny how you can remember. As I said, we did the train journey up, and then we arrived in Oswald, which is obviously very different to Hertfordshire. And we arrived at the station. There was an open bed truck, and you took your bag, threw your bag onto the open bed truck, and you got in the coach, and you drove off to Oswald, and you arrived at the big white building. I can remember that. And then they checked us all in, and they divided us all up. I was in Watkins Patrol, and you go off to your room. I remember that. And I guess they probably fed us that evening. And then of course, at 3:00 in the morning, the fire alarm goes, and you've all got to get up and go outside. And then they say, right, next one will be real if you hear the fire alarm. So at 3 a.m, you're out in your pajamas in Oldswater, So that was your introduction. Straight into it.
Straight into it. Did you do the traditional jog and dip, Nick? Do you remember running down to the lake and jumping into the lake?
Well, no, we did I can't remember if we did that we did the cold showers every morning just in case. Yeah. We had to do the cold shower, which was brutal because that was a big rain thing. Yeah. And you had to do the cold shower in the morning just in case, they said, just in case you fall in the lake. And as I said, then we were straight into it. We started doing the assault course. I was good at the assault course because there was a big bar. I remember there was a big bar between the tree, and I worked out that you had to go over it backwards. You hooked your arms and went over, and I could do that while my other guys were trying to get the leg over it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I remember that.
And what other activities? What other activities do you remember doing?
What's that?
What other activities do you remember doing?
God, I remember. It's funny when I saw canoeing. I don't remember doing canoeing. Actually, as I sit here, I can't picture that one at the moment. But we did a lot of stuff around. I remember the first 2 weeks we were kind of around the house all the time.
Yeah.
And then we woke up, and I think we did one. We did a couple of I'm not sure if it happened after. I remember after 2 weeks, we suddenly wake up and there's 2 foot of snow. Sunday morning, 2 foot of snow in April. So that was a big change. And now, now it's cold and all of that. And then we were on mountain rescue alert. But back in those days, then we all went out in the coach at 4 a.m, I think. And then they plonked us in this valley, and we had to wander through the valley and check the rocks and all this sort of. And of course, back in those days, there was no walkie-talkies of communication, and I think this guy was down at the police station
Was it?
already. So while we were busy walking all through, so we did that. I remember doing that, and then we had to do our own whatever orienteering one, where you go off for like 3 days,
Expedition,
something like that.
Your expedition.
You know, all on you're a group of maybe 6 of you, and you got your and it rained. It rained for all 3 blooming days.
It always rains in the Lake District.
Yeah, so I remember, pitching a tent in the rain, sleeping bags are wet, everything. I was in charge of food.
Okay.
And it was powdered stuff in bags, and I got the mix wrong.
Uh-huh.
So I put the porridge oats in as well to thicken it up. So I remember that. So I was in charge of food, so that didn't work. But it was fun. And we used to have I remember we used to have the yellow sou'westers, didn't you? The sleeves were too long, which was great because you had those flapjack bars, so you could hold a flapjack bar in your hand because the sleeve was so long, the rain would run over it. It wasn't wet, and then you could eat a bit of flapjack or. So we go trudging along. Goodness knows what we did. Had to go wet maps, I guess. We had to go and do a square. I can't remember. Ended down at one of the lake, Coniston. Is it Coniston Water? I think we probably did a loop round there.
Yeah.
Gosh, so so that was kind of the
big activity.
That's what you're up to. So, thank goodness the food was good back at base because we, at 14, I could eat like a horse.
I bet a growing lad. Hey, listen, in terms of like the things that you did and things, Nick. So I took the liberty of asking colleagues to dive into the archives at Ullswater, and I've managed to find your report. And with your permission, I'd like to quote the words of Squadron Leader Lester Davis, who was your warden at the time.
Oh gosh, okay. Read the first line. It's hilarious. It's a good start, isn't it?
So just to say, Squadron Leader Lester Davis is the source of great amusement for me, reading everyone's reports, and the language of the day, it was quite telling. But I'll tell you what he said about you, if that's okay.
I know. Go for it.
So he said that on arrival, Faldo settled down quickly with the other members of his patrol, obviously.
That's what I said, yeah.
Although not a ready volunteer for responsible jobs, which kind of contradicts what you just said.
I probably stood back and I was assessing the situation. That's how I would put that, okay.
His strong personality made him a prominent group member.
Interesting, yeah, okay.
So he spoke about the expedition. So he said during lectures in the skills of mountaineering, he was an attentive student, and he tried hard to put those newfound ways around practical use when on expedition in the fells. Okay. So
yeah.
Shall I carry on?
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah.
So he described you as a strong boy who derived satisfaction from achievements in rock climbing and canoeing, and he took an active part in the competitions at which his team did very well. So maybe some early signs of strong competition play there.
Competition. I don't remember the competitions. Okay, so that's,
and you mentioned this about the Coniston area. So you participated in a field study expedition to the Coniston area, and although a nervous speaker, you prepared and presented an interesting talk on the visit. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. No. No, I don't. I don't remember. What? That's not me. Stand up. Yeah, we went for a walk.
Yeah. I thought that could be like the start of your successful broadcasting career with CBS.
It's an interesting one. Yeah.
And then it carries on, and this was quite interesting. He said that Nick is a polite, hard-working boy who has put a lot of effort into the 26 days. Living in a dormitory with all the other boys has been a great experience for him, and he is now more self-confident and finds it easier to control his quick temper.
No, that is I don't. My defence on that one would be, I probably wouldn't call it quick temper. I think I probably being an only child, probably got frustrated with other people if they couldn't do something straight away, which is kind of me. Yeah, even now, if somebody, well, as we know, if you get involved in business, if somebody can't do something, you have to react, duck and dive, and or if you've told somebody what to do and you think you told them clearly and they don't do it, then yeah.
So Nick,
I think it's all quite interesting to think. I have no idea who I was or what I was a 14-year-old lad now, but considering I did end up being successful, it's quite. I think it's better than them reading and saying that Nick was a wallflower and couldn't do anything. So I guess I had as a young lad, I think, as I said, but making a decision at 15 to want to be a golfer, I think, pretty unusual to go, well, I know what I'm going to do, and I've got a vision and I've got a path, because we didn't have psychology and all that sort of thing in those days. We all know now where you have a vision and have a dream and a plan and the execution. We know all this now, don't we? But back we didn't have any. You did it yourself. You're like, well, I would like to do that, and what have I got to do?
And
simple as that.
The reports that I've read, actually, they're quite astute, Like, it might be written in a language that we don't sort of use these days. But I think that's right, because in order to be as successful as you've been, I think you have to have that resilience and that mentality that you might have been, that might have been awoken when you were at Ullswater, or at least someone external for the first time maybe seeing it.
Yeah. I had a great report from school from my physical guy, my PE teacher, whatever, trained, and it was his determination will be the key to his success.
Exactly.
Heck of a lot.
Exactly.
So you've got to have something in you, haven't you, which you're given, and then you develop that. If you're somebody who's quite happy to strive and really do and really work hard at it, because golf, you have to. I've hit millions of golf balls. None of this. I used to laugh at that. The 10,000 hours thing, or whatever they said. Well, it was a warm up. So, like anybody, you hear about Beckham would stay on after training and kick free kicks for 2 more hours, but we loved it. It wasn't like, oh, you've got to do that. Anytime I get asked by a parent, in my series, how much they got to practice, I'm like, no, you ain't going to make it. I won't be hearing you in 5 years' time, because you're pleasantly obsessed with it, that you're out there and love it, rain or shine, and from dawn to dusk. And you never question, whatever, am I doing enough for this sort of thing? You just get on with it.
Exactly. Nick, I want to ask you a slightly different question, if that's okay, because this really fascinates me about that kind of drive for success. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't want to delve into it too deeply, but if you sort of had a pie chart and 100% of the pie chart was success, I know you're talented at what you do, right? You're a very successful player. If talent was a percentage, what percentage would you put on it, and what would make up the rest of the pie chart?
Well, exactly. You need talent. Well, for golf, you need talent, hand-eye coordination, very helpful, that sort of thing. But then you need persistence and resilience, or workload, dedication, commitment, because commitment is probably the word that is a massive amount. And obviously we then develop in our game self-belief, trust. So whatever we want to call it, self-confidence, more trust. Trust is a bigger word, or knowing. You start to know, I can do that, or I can do this. And so, that, as we know in our game in golf, is a huge chunk of it. It's you have to have 3/4 of your pie has to be just your mental strength. And then obviously you need your physical skills, you need your determination and that sort of thing. But what you try to develop in our sport is trust. That's through repetition. I thought my pie chart was very simple when I was, I'd practice, go off and play a tournament, learn from it, assess it, learn from it, more practice. and you keep doing that, and then suddenly, as I said, then something which is a real psychology thing I'd love to know, then suddenly you develop self-belief and you suddenly know that somewhere in that practice you go, I know I can do this, I can do that. When I go and play tournaments, I feel better because I know what I can do, and wow, I have a vision now. I'd like to win this, and I can see myself doing that because I know I've done enough work here to understand. I've looked after every department in our game. I'm trying to help kids now as well, and we have so many departments in the game of golf. And every splitting club is a department: driving, 3-woods, irons, short, mid-irons, blah blah blah, long putts, short putts. There's so many different departments in our game that you need to be really good at. And I try to help them say, well, where are you out of 10? Mm-hmm. Because you can't be a 4 of anything because, as we know, pressure, you're only good as your weakest point. Mm-hmm. It finds it, so you've got to learn. So, I guess, going back to, Out of Bound, it's, learning to look after yourself in the situations and all that sort of thing is what you have to do, which I've been doing all my life in my career in golf. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad you said that because I was trying to tease that out of you a little bit at the end with the connection to Outward Bound. So I heard in another interview that you did that when you won your first major title in 1987 at the Open Championship, and there's a quote that you said that when you were walking onto the first fairway, that you looked up and you saw that famous yellow board, Nick, and you saw your name on it. And you said in this interview that you said to yourself, I can handle this. I've got this. Yeah. So your mindset was really strong at that time. Was there an element of, how did you build that confidence up though? And if the answer doesn't include Outward Bound, do you think it played do you think that time away for the first time helped as well, build a little bit of confidence?
I do. I think, it's all part of your character building, isn't it? I mean, it's, as I said at the beginning, it must have had an impact on my life because I can remember now when I can remember so much. You tell me anything else at 14 and a half to remember. I haven't got a clue. So that's the important thing. Yeah. If you do something that creates a memory, well, then it has an effect on you, doesn't it? It really does,
100%.
So that's the important things in life, doing things that create memories.
Yeah.
Otherwise we're just a jellyfish. So, so it obviously did have a significant hit. I'm a young lad at 14, as we said, going away for 4 weeks. Never done that before, with other guys, doing all sorts of things, either looking after somebody else or, again, that's all. We didn't know the psychology of this. I've got friends who are psychologists, and they said he puts 2 businessmen together, who don't know how to communicate. He said, well, you're in charge of water and you're in charge of food. So they have to talk to each other now.
100%.
The other guy says, are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Do you get me? And so we know how to do this now, but we had none of this in that time. So you were learning this yourself. So you are with another guy, with Tony, who's in my tent. And so I've got to get on with it. I've never been in a tent with another guy. And then we got 12 of us in our Watkins patrol. Yeah. And, as you said, I didn't realize you want to win competitions, whatever we had to do. Yes, competitive. It's, and
I think that must have been innate.
I was a good listener.
Yeah.
Which helped me in my golf as well. My coach always said I'm a good listener. I'd sit and take this all in and think, how can I use it? It's just a very good thing for kids to say, take it all in. Don't go, this is boring, I'm not interested. But go, take it all in, and then you sift out what you need and think, that's useful. I can learn from that. I'll go and try that. So I was a good listener, which came out in that report, that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Nick, as well, if you look at things retrospectively, you can use the things we know now. And I've heard you say it before, you were doing the things that perhaps weren't being taught in the way they're being taught now. You'd almost set that bar, and it must have been innate in you to have that success. And now you're still referred to as one of the best ever. So people must you must have done well at that time, and people are learning how to replicate that now, essentially. And I think that's the same with our teaching at Outward Bound. We're trying to build up rapport with young people. We're trying to understand their needs and their worlds. And by doing that, we can do what we do better. We can have that, because the average course is 5 days now. So we've got to build up that understanding quicker than what we had, when you were doing a month.
Yeah. But you understand so much more of the psychology of it now. This is the thing. We didn't even know there was probably a word called psychology way back there. So now you know how to sow seeds for kids and how to help them, kickstart them into, well, this is how you do it. If you come in and they're like, well, I haven't got a clue how to get some oomph. How do you that must be the hardest thing. And I always say, how do you motivate people when there's no motivation in them?
Yeah, well, that is very tough. Especially,
that must be, it's all right for us. Some of us have built that way. Someone's give us something to do. We're like, I'll do it better. That's in me, which is great. But some are like, and you've got to say, well, how do we motivate you for a better? What do you want in life? I don't know. And so you've got to then, which you can do. That's what I'm trying to say. The knowledge is just completely different.
Yeah, 100%. But that's through lots of, learning and mistakes and fine tuning it. It's our equivalent of hitting millions of golf balls, I guess. Just working out what's good and what works, and building rapport. And understanding the young people. This is something we're really hot on at Outward Bound. And I just wanted to ask as well, with you understanding where you were during your career, I read this fascinating thing about you, Nick, that you took time out to almost like relearn how to
rebuild.
Did you do that consciously? Was that something you were really aware of, and you did it to improve your career?
Well, I didn't really ask your other question about the Open, but that took time. I turned pro in '76 when I'm still 18, nearly 19. And bottom line, 11 years later, I win an Open.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not didn't happen. Anything happened overnight. You learn and climb the ladder, as I call it, just getting a little more confident. What's my goal? As I said, first goal was turn pro and then get on tour. First goal was to be exempt. We had a top 60 and I finished 58. Next goal, the next year was actually the Ryder Cup year. And I thought, wow, why can't I make the Ryder Cup team? I made the Ryder Cup team. And, I kept adding another rung to the ladder and kept climbing. But then, I obviously was in the hunt for some majors, learning all the time. And then, it was funny. I was taught a swing from the 70s, which was, how to describe, very long and willowy and all this sort of thing. And a lot of it, arms are doing one thing, legs are doing another thing. And I, thanks to timing and tempo and that sort of thing, and stuck it all together, as I call it. So, and then so at the end of end of '84, I thought, I'm not good enough. I haven't got it to get to the next level to win major, to compete, that time against the Tom Watsons, and Jack was still around a bit, and Seve and those sort of guys. And gosh, so I went for I didn't have the intentions of going for a 2-year rebuild. I thought, well, we can, now we know so much more, but we did it old school. The famous Hogan line, the answer's in the dirt. Hit golf balls out of the dirt all day long. In the blimmin' boiling hot Florida weather and that sort of thing, And so that took a time, and then finally it clicked, and that was the spring of, 87. It clicked and thought, right. And then I come out of it. And as I described, I won in the Spanish Open in May, I think. And then by the time I got to the Open in July, you're always doing kind of tricks on your mind to see things. I was very, very good at visualizing. You've got to learn to visualize what the ultimate goal is. The ultimate goal is sitting there with a claret jug. So I actually did visualize, and I'm going to be Monday morning. I'm going to be sitting at my breakfast, because I knew that's how they used to do it. The BBC would come to me live on the BBC News, and I'll be sitting there with the claret jug having breakfast. Brilliant. So that's like the goal.
Yeah.
And the goal is the trophy at the end of the line. And so Yeah, and I did. I walked past that leaderboard and I looked up and it just said, "Welcome to Muirfield" on it. And I looked up and I saw Faldo and I thought, yeah, I can handle that. That's all right. I can do it. Just keep going. So, it's all about putting yourself in the right frame of mind to make these things happen.
That's brilliant. And I love that visualization thing. I do that often at work, with projects and tasks, just working out where you want things to be. And then working backwards to try and get it. And I think that's a good lesson for, when we have the reflection sessions with young people today, Nick, it's kind of projecting where you'd like to be and taking the steps to get there. So that's brilliant.
The important thing is you've got to learn when the finish line is. It's a bit like you're learning to run 100 meters, but the finish of the race is the tape.
Yes.
Isn't it? You don't, but the first 30 yards is all part of it. And we're the same. We have a golf tournament and our finishing line is 72 holes away. And then we have to learn the journey. But as I said, we know so much more how to prepare you for that.
Yeah, 100%. So that's a nice segue into the last bit of this podcast, if that's okay Nick. Just thinking about, preparing and knowing things now. And you're at a stage in your life and career where that's not true of now, because the Faldo Series and Faldo's Future, that's been going for like 30 years now, hasn't it?
Yeah, 30, yeah.
Could you just tell us a bit more about that and what's happening with that today?
Well, I'm good. I've got a lot going on, as you know. I had literally 28 years as a playing professional, and then I transitioned to TV. I did 18 full time, and I'm still doing part time. Obviously, this thing was all part of going into like semi-retirement from it. And I'm fortunate. I've got a design business. I love designing golf courses, so that's going very well. Got a lot going on, which is very cool.
Good.
Lots of great ideas there. Yeah, and the series is celebrating 30 years as well.
Brilliant.
I started at in the end of '96, and to be honest, it's been a constant battle for literally till now. We're amazed at the humps and bumps along the way, and people who either can't do the job or say they can when they're full of what and they can't do this, or people just not helpful and blah blah blah. Don't want to go too deep into it. So we popped out now the last couple of years, got a new team on board, and I'm heavily involved. My son Matthew has been with me for 15 since he left college, so that's 14, 15 odd years ago, which is great.
Yeah.
And then we started this thing we dreamt up this idea of the Faldo Futures, because after coming out of COVID, golf exploded. We would have events and our field would double. The field would double in size, because it's like mum and dad kick their kids out their house, get out and get some fresh air. Golf is safe and healthy, let's say. And so golf had actually exploded, the numbers. Yep. So we tweaked that and said, well, look at all these youngsters, the 7 to 12-year-olds, basically. So we started this Faldo Futures, which is going great. We're on our third season, and we're going to have at least 200 clubs, I think. We probably get over that. We've got a whole team on that now, which is great.
Good. And
so popular. We all love it because the kids are so nice. They're very well-disciplined, very respectful, very appreciative, very keen. I'll tell you a funny story. I do a clinic. We have a grand final at the British Masters.
Okay.
And, I always do my clinic, do my short game clinic. And usually, which is quite interesting. Normally when you say that any questions, they all go,
Yeah.
And so with the little ones, the 7 to 9s, I got 120 kids. This is true as I sit here. Got any questions? I got 120 hands up, and I'm like, you're kidding. And they all go, me, no, blah, 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 blah. And I said, who wants to volunteer to hit a ball? And they all go like this. And I go, me.
Oh, brilliant.
Then I got to sign 120 caps, and I got to do 120 selfies. So anyway, you can tell I love it. So it's hilarious. Yeah. But it's so funny when we go to 10 to 12.
Yeah.
I go, any questions?
Yeah.
I go,
it's strange. That age is strange.
Interesting. What happened? Then all of a sudden, you suddenly get self-conscious of yourself, and you don't. And I'm like, wow. I'm a spinning psychologists as well. So I think, what happened?
Yeah.
They went, where did it, whatever, so.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. But anyway, that's great. The series is now, so you can tell that excites us.
Yep.
As I said, I'm very excited. My design business, I've got a nice course. I'm around the world from Asia to, we've got a couple in Europe, Madeira. We've got England's come alive, which is great. Got a couple of projects in England and America as well, some big projects. And I'm doing my promote. I'm really pushing things like 12 holes.
Okay.
12-hole golf course because, everybody's clock watching, aren't they now?
Yeah.
It's like, and apparently it's hugely successful in Australia, especially with the ladies. They say, we all bomb down, meet for coffee. They play 6 holes.
Yeah.
Da-de-da. They got out, done their bit all together. Then they obviously got whatever, kids and stuff to look after through the day.
Yeah.
So, we're all time constrained. So we're going to build some fun golf courses around 12 holes and that sort of thing, as well as 18s. But I'm pushing some people to go think about, if you're just looking after your members, and we're all getting older, 12 holes is a great distance for me now. The back starts tightening up and you think, and you play, you really are tight by the ninth. And then 9's too short. And, do a few more and you think, great, I was happy time rather than playing the last 5 holes and shoulders are aching and everything. So we're pushing that. So we're having fun doing that as well.
Great. And I think that from what I know about it as well, it's, you're trying to make something accessible. So also Outward Bound, after the pandemic, we had this boom in interest in what we were doing because we'd been cooped up for so long. And we're all about accessibility to the outdoors, our environment, getting people active. And that's what you're doing through the foundation. And also 10,000 young people a year go through this, Nick. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. But we're definitely going to get over 4,000 of the youngsters this year. They all compete in all their clubs. They come to a semi-final with us and then they come to a grand final. So that's fun. We still have the series. Yeah. We have the series in Asia. Mm-hmm. They play right across Asia, and they have a grand final coming up in end of April, and then we play all the way through Europe. Yeah. Which is, way back in the day, Europe went all the way from Iceland to Turkey. Even early days, we went to Moscow. Would you believe? Really? We had a lot of we had a lot of Russian golfers who were very good moons ago. They guess they've been busy doing other things, poor things. And so we have another grand final obviously in the Middle East at the end of the year, which actually will be going to Cyprus next year on one of my courses and my design courses. So
incredible.
Yeah, bottom line is I just trying to create opportunity, which creates experiences, which creates memories, as we said. And then who knows? And then a few pop out. Golf's a tough sport. The percentage of success is pretty small. Yeah. But it's, as we said, it's a wonderful sport. And obviously, I've had my biggest claim to fame is Rory played through the series. We got a wonderful photograph of he won in Ireland when we were at Loch Earn. Yeah. And Rory's that tall next to me. And I'm going to make sure when we get to Augusta, we're going to just sneak off the two of us with our green jackets. And I want to get that picture because that's going to be...
To replicate it. Lovely.
That's going to be fantastic for the series and say, here, look at this little whippersnapper. 20. That would be pretty close to 20 years ago now. Is it what it is? 20 years ago. Gosh.
Time is flying by. That's fascinating, Nick. Thank you. And all the very best for all that, your business endeavours and the Faldo Futures. That's amazing. And there's a lovely tie-in with, I guess, what we do at Outward Bound as well. So, Nick, I'm going to ask you a final question, if that's all right.
A fun question, sure.
A final question. I'm not sure if it's fun, but we'll see. It's quite deep, actually. So, I read an article your wife wrote about your recovery from your big op that you've just had, and she wrote that recovery is steady. So, I think this was to tell people how you were doing. Recovery is steady, and perspective has settled in where fear once lived. I thought that was a beautiful line. And I'm just trying to get your perspective on how you sort of see Outward Bound and how you saw yourself when you came to us when you were 14, 15. I I don't want to ask that question about what advice would you give to your younger self, but that's kind of where I'm landing on. Just what would you say now if you were able to speak to your 14-year-old self, taking the train up from King's Cross to Penrith? Is there any advice you'd give yourself?
Well, I think I covered it. Now it's like, take it all in.
Yeah.
Just open your eyes and your ears and your mind and take it all in, and you decide what you want to use. There's nothing worse when you can tell there's a blank thing. No, I'm not interested in this. I can't be bothered. I can't care. What do I need out of it? Wow. What hope. But I think if you just open everything and go, as I just described, visually you're taking it in. I mean, I can still see it. Isn't that cool? I can still see Oldswater right now. So it has a visual impact. You can still, I can still see the Dorm as I sit here. And then obviously there was probably less hearing thing. I'm probably visual.
Yeah.
We are different. We are either visual or we're auditory. So I've taken all those pictures of it, and I can see us out there and sitting on that blooming coach going through the fells. So I'm visual, and or you're auditory. So I've heard lots of things. So bottom line, take it all in.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that, and who knows where that, and you won't use it right now, but it's amazing what you store in your mind. That suddenly down the line you go, hang on a minute, I was involved. There was a situation like this, and how did I react then? And da-di-da-di-da. But that's the beauty. I mean, that's what I see. And you keep doing that all your whole life. We're very fortunate. I pick a career where I travel the world and I see things, and and you react then, and you maybe react to something now, later.
Yeah.
So I think you're more blessed that you have those opportunities. Don't put barriers up straight away.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Couldn't care less about learning this or that. You'd be amazed what you take in and what you need and what having and what fun it is as well when you think of as I said, me mixing the porridge into the dry vegetables.
It's all learning. But I think that's lovely advice.
Sleeping in a wet sleeping bag is another great experience as well. You're like, I need to do better. You learn things like, plastic bag.
Yeah.
Need to look after things, and that's so. Yeah, you learn from you learn from experience, which is always great fun, isn't it?
100%. So that's your advice to yourself, but that advice is also valid for anyone coming on an Outward Bound course today.
Yeah.
And Nick, you said you're very visual. Listen, you popped in and you visited in the summer of 18 on your way to Carnoustie, I think it was, when you were at Outward Bound. But listen, Ullswater, everyone at Outward Bound, we extend an open invitation to you, mate, when you're back in the UK. Come on by. I know you're back in the UK in May, so there's an open invitation when you're on your way up to Scotland. Come and see us, and we'll take you around, and we'll take you on the lake. And
I might actually better take you up on that. We are driving up. We are driving up in May. We're going up that side.
Yep.
So, all right, maybe we'll do a detour. Might be just for a cup of tea and a bit of sticky bun.
We'll make you a flapjack to take with you.
Yeah, why not? Absolutely. One of those flapjacks. They were great. I remember the flapjacks.
Brilliant. Listen, Nick.
All right, we'll work on that. We'll see if we can make that happen.
100%. 100%. Right. Listen, Nick, Sir Nick Faldo, MBE. Nick, you're an absolute gentleman. We're really pleased to have you as part of the alumni. And I just want to say, listen, get well soon, full recovery soon, and thanks a million for taking the time out today.